You ever step outside in the morning, coffee in hand, expecting a calm start, only to feel your stomach drop like a stone? That was me, frozen on my driveway, staring at the side of my car. Deep, jagged gouges tore through the paint, carving into the metal as if someone had taken a swing at it for fun. The silver gleam of raw steel caught the early light. My chest tightened. Even the breeze felt cruel, whistling through the quiet neighborhood as if mocking me. At first, I tried to make sense of it. Maybe a delivery truck had scraped it. Perhaps some kid wobbled on their bike. But then my eyes locked on the real culprit. Standing a few feet away, gripping a red plastic bat like a prize, was Karen's son. Yeah, that Karen. Let me paint you a picture of her. She's the kind of woman who treats the entire neighborhood like her personal empire. If your grass grows an inch too high, she's at your door. Leave your trash bins out too long and expect a notice. Put up the wrong holiday decoration, and she'll have a complaint filed before you can even finish your morning coffee. But today wasn't about long grass or trash bins. It was about her kid, standing there with a smug grin, bat in hand, like vandalism was some sort of neighborhood game. I walked up, forcing my voice to stay level, and asked the obvious. "Did you just hit my car?" The kid gave a casual shrug, tilted his head, and delivered the line that still makes my blood boil. Mom said it's fine. HOA approved. Like those 3 words were some magical get-out-of-jail-free card. At first, I thought he was just mouthing off, but then the front door swung open, and out stormed Karen herself. "Is there a problem?" She snapped, already crossing her arms like she'd won the argument before it began. I pointed at the shredded paint. "Yeah, there's a problem. Your son just wrecked my car." She didn't even flinch. She smirked. "He's just a child. I told him he could play there. That's common property, and your car shouldn't even be parked so close. If the HOA says it's fine, it's fine." I stood there stunned. She had actually twisted some vague HOA rule into a personal excuse to justify thousands of dollars in damage. This wasn't just neighbor drama. This was about to get serious. I had 2 choices. Walk away and eat the cost, or stand up to the woman who treated this neighborhood like her fiefdom. I straightened my shoulders. "Karen," I said evenly, "your son vandalized my car. This isn't an HOA issue. This is destruction of property." She laughed, a sharp, dismissive laugh. "You wouldn't dare press charges. The HOA will back me. They always do." And right then, I saw it clearly. She wasn't just a controlling neighbor. She was weaponizing the HOA, using its rules like armor to protect herself and her family. I'd heard stories. Neighbors fined for flower colors, people written up for leaving a toy in their own driveway. But vandalism? This was new ground. I pulled out my phone and started taking photos from every angle, making sure her son was in the frame, bat in hand. Her smug expression cracked the moment she realized what I was doing. "What do you think you're going to do with those?" she hissed. "Insurance! Police! Take your pick!" I said. Her face flushed crimson. "You bring outsiders into this, and the HOA will come down harder on you than you can imagine." "Do you understand me?" For a split second, I wavered. Karen had power here. She'd been on the HOA board for years, twisting it to her will. Standing up to her could mean endless harassment. But one look at my ruined car snapped me back. This wasn't about HOA politics. This was about a crime. By that evening, whispers were already floating through the neighborhood. Karen was on the move, spinning her story. According to her version, I'd parked illegally. Her son had accidentally tapped the car, and I was harassing a child. Classic Karen, flip the narrative before the truth catches up. But this time, she'd crossed a line she couldn't talk her way out of. This wasn't about trash cans or lawn heights anymore. This wasn't some HOA slap on the wrist. This was malicious destruction of private property, and the law wasn't on her side anymore. Right then and there, I made up my mind. I was calling the police, and when the cops got involved, Karen's little HOA-approved shield was going to shatter like glass. The next morning, I filed the report. By afternoon, a squad car crept down our street, its chrome reflecting sunlight like a spotlight aimed straight at our quiet cul-de-sac. Curtains fluttered as neighbors peeked through blinds. Others froze in their yards, whispering. This wasn't your usual HOA drama. This was official. Karen must have seen the cruiser from her kitchen window because she came charging out of her house before the officer even reached my door. Arms flailing, voice sharp, she launched into her usual act. "Officer, this is all a big misunderstanding," she said, pointing at me like I was the villain. "My son was simply playing outside when his car," she jabbed her finger again, "was illegally parked on common property. He's just a boy. This man is harassing us." Her son stood behind her, suddenly not so cocky, his hands jammed in his pockets. The bat was gone, but the fresh gouges in my car were undeniable. The officer kept his tone calm. "Ma'am, did your son make contact with this vehicle?" Karen scoffed. "He might have lightly tapped it, but it's not criminal. The HOA has rules." "I already approved it," I nearly laughed. "Approved it?" Like she had the power to override state law because she chaired a few meetings about trash can placement. I handed over my photos, the car, the bat, the kid grinning. The officer studied them carefully. I gave him the repair estimate I'd already received. $3,500, his eyebrows shot up. "Ma'am," he said evenly, "this isn't an HOA matter. This is felony-level property damage. Anything over $1,000 automatically escalates this case." The blood drained from Karen's face. She opened her mouth, ready to argue, but the officer kept going. "Your son is a minor. This will involve the juvenile court. Depending on the investigation, charges could include vandalism and destruction of private property. And if you knowingly encouraged it," he let that last part hang heavy in the air, "you could be held criminally liable as well." The entire neighborhood went silent. The same people Karen had bullied for years were now watching her squirm. Her usual smirk was gone. She looked cornered, small for the first time. The officer handed me a copy of the report and told me detectives would follow up. As he walked back to his cruiser, Karen leaned in close, voice low and venomous. "You'll regret this." But for once I wasn't the one afraid. This wasn't me against Karen anymore. This was Karen against the law. Word spread through the neighborhood like wildfire. By the time the next HOA meeting rolled around, the whispers were everywhere. People who'd spent years avoiding her wrath were now watching her fall. She wasn't holding the clipboard anymore. She was standing under the microscope. A week later, the detective followed up. The damage estimate made it official: felony-level vandalism. Her son would face juvenile charges. And Karen, by approving his actions, had effectively turned herself from a bystander into a participant. I'll never forget the moment she got the official notice. She stood in her driveway, clutching the HOA newsletter in one hand and the court summons in the other. She tried to spin it, shouting about conspiracies and neighborhood politics. But this time, no one was buying it. The queen had lost her crown. Neighbors she'd terrorized for years began stepping forward with their own stories: harassment, bogus fines, intimidation. One family even admitted she'd threatened to report their lawn furniture unless they voted her way in a board election. The detective took notes. The board took notice, and then the unthinkable happened. At the next HOA meeting, the board quietly called for a vote to remove her from her position. No shouting. No power plays. Just a calm, unanimous decision. Karen was out, and the fallout didn't stop there. Her son's court date came fast. He walked in next to her, no smug grin this time. The judge was blunt. Full restitution to cover the $3,500 in damage. Mandatory community service. And Karen herself was fined for enabling the vandalism. Watching her face as the gavel came down, it was the first time in years she didn't have the last word. When it was all over, I stood beside my repaired car, polished and gleaming. The scratches were gone, but that memory of her son's smug voice, HOA approved, still lingered. Except now it made me smile, because justice wasn't just about fixing a car. It was about proving to the entire neighborhood that no one, not even Karen with her self-declared HOA crown, is above the law. And trust me, this is just one HOA story. There are plenty more where this came from. So, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and tell me in the comments, what would you have done if it were your car? The next story is even spicier.